We're still gonna find. I mean, we'll find out today. Probably more as he comes in. Probably over the next couple of days, to be honest with you. We'll see how he feels, if he can hold a bat or look like he can swing a bat. If we think it's going to be further than 4 or 5 days or 6 days, something like that, we may IL him. But if we feel like he's going to be good in 2 or 3 days, then probably not.
And I haven't seen, has the lineup come out yet?
It came out.
Yeah.
It did. Is Sam starting?
No, I'll have him. He'll probably start tomorrow. I got
Okay.
Matt is sketching today. Yeah.
Gotcha. For you guys offensively, it seems like something has started to click the last couple of games. Can you pinpoint exactly what it is?
Yeah, I think you look at funny talking to our hitting coaches. It was the most frustrating thing for us, especially with our younger players. When we kind of went to that our youth movement, or even earlier in the season. To be honest with you, things that the guys were working on just hadn't shown up. In the games, and there's a ton of learning and a ton of growth outside of that, and we felt like we were winning a lot of days, just we weren't winning games and we weren't winning at bats. So some of these things are starting to kick in, and you're starting to see the calmness and what happened last night, and you see most good offenses or teams that kind of collectively have an identity together. You see that. You see like there's one inning where it's just if we get something going, we keep it going, and we haven't really been able to do that all year. And so last night you see the quality of the bats. For the first 3 innings, we got a little bit out of our game plan. We were hitting a lot of pull side ground balls and off Tehran, and then that one inning, all it took was maybe a hit or two. Eli with the big hit to tie the game, and now you can see the change in the at bat quality. Everybody, okay, this is an important inning. We got a chance to put this guy out of the game. We got a chance to break this game open. Now the consistency of the at bat, one after another, and the left on left with Rugi, that was one of the best at bats he's had all year, and it ended up in a walk. And Guzzi with the same thing, and you just see the foul balls that they're hitting over here, 3-2 breaking balls. Rugi was on them, just fouling them off. Those are the at bats where we were missing earlier in the year. We talk about getting the big hit. Yesterday it was obviously the big walk, but also the big hits to start those innings. So what we're starting to see is there's a belief, one after another, and you're starting to be able to string more than one hit or more than one quality at bat, together. And I think that's the identity that we want to have as an offense, and be able to handle those at bats. Want to be in those situations, and it doesn't matter who's in those situations, but we're going to thrive. And I think that we're seeing it more now. But we got to continue it. That's the consistency part of it, is what I keep preaching over and over again. Like the youth sometimes gets the best of them at the end of it. They kind of let their foot off the gas or kind of get out. Okay, I'm gonna get greedy here. We can't do that. We have to continue just one after another, and keep putting good at bats together.
You used quite a bit of bullpen power last night. Did you not pitch anyone too much to where everyone's available, maybe except for John, or how does that look?
Yeah, I think Jonathan's the only guy. I mean, he went back to back, so we kind of knew if we used him that he wouldn't be available today probably. I probably won't go 3 days in a row with him, but everybody else should be fine. Obviously, we got a lot of games coming up, in the weekend series, so we're hoping Gibby can kind of give us some good innings, and either way we have some depth down there. We got Benjamin and Hearn and Herget and those guys that can still come in and throw multiple innings, so we should be fine.
Thanks, Ray. That's it for me.
Some other questions, please? Sam.
So what was the kind of conversation, I guess, last night or this morning that led to you guys calling up Sam?
I don't think there was really any debate, to be honest with you. I mean, we had kind of thought that all along to get him here at some point. We're excited about it. I mean, I didn't want to see Trevino go down for any time period, but if it meant getting Sam here for that reason, I think we were all kind of on board with that. So I'm excited. He's obviously put a ton of work in on the other side, just in his game calling and just overall thought process in games, and how he would handle it if he got called up. Physically, he's put in a ton of work, obviously, getting his at-bats and such. So he's in a good place. I think, he should be fine tomorrow. I thought about getting him in there today, but, wanted to give him a little bit of time to prepare for that first start. So I think tomorrow we'll probably get him in there.
Do you think he'll be here the rest of the season, or is it something just until Jose's available?
I don't think we can guarantee that. just because from a roster standpoint, having 3 catchers again, with Jeff too. I don't know. I can't guarantee that, but if he is, it'd be ideal, just to get him some experience, obviously for the rest of the year.
Just how was Sam kind of doing at the alternate site, and just what kind of things have you heard about him?
Oh, I've heard a ton. I mean, the one thing, like that staff, really pushed him pretty hard. I know Bobby Wilson and the staff down there have done an amazing job of just, not taking a day for granted. They're not down there just kind of, okay, we're going to get our BP in today and take a few at bats off our pitchers and call it a day. Like, he's game planning every day as if he was catching. He's reviewing every game, going through what we called and how we called the game. So there's a ton of learning on his side, which I applaud him for, and he's 100% open to. He's talked with our pitching coaches about, pitch tunneling and all kinds of different ideas, and that'll help him game call, and he knows our pitchers. So he's been doing it, with our own pitchers. So it's been pretty fun to listen to and hear the development that's going on down there, and I don't know. We'll see it. We'll see how it pays off tomorrow.
PR.
The thing I was thinking about as far as Huff is, you brought Federovich up. You get a veteran who can work with these young pitchers who alternate. So I was just wondering if that was a consideration, instead of going with a rookie with some of these kids, go with 2 veterans behind the plate.
Yeah, we definitely thought about that. I think if kind of like what I just said, if I didn't feel confident, or we didn't feel confident that that Sam was really pushing hard, when it comes to game calling and understanding, like his, he's obviously a really good receiver. Sam is. He's got a really good arm. We know there's going to be potential struggle with the bat. Obviously he's got more power than anybody in baseball, but we can look through those things. But as far as the game calling goes, he's put so much work in that we feel confident that he could handle being able to navigate a game. So if he wasn't doing those things, then I would probably recommend going with Fedorovich, just because he does have that veteran type leadership.
Okay, some more housekeeping. Willie was supposed to run the bases. Where does Willie stand?
I think he got pushed back a day or two. He hit yesterday. He hit live off of pitching, but the running part of it, he's still maybe a tick behind where he kind of wanted to be. So I think he's either going to run the bases today or tomorrow, and hopefully he'll feel decent with it. But I still don't think this weekend is a reality. I think it's more when we go on the road.
Chris.
All right, so I couldn't help but notice you say that Sam might have more power than anybody in baseball. So I have to ask, who has more power, Sam or Joey?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, if you watch them take BP, it's they both hit them really, really far. So I don't know. It's hard to say. I think the youthful Joey works on a lot of things, so he's not just a grip and rip type anymore. I mean, he's got a lot of purpose to what he does. Maybe Sam falls into the grip and rip category, but he does obviously, use the whole field. He hits them on top of the building in center field. So I don't know if I've seen anybody else besides Ohtani and BP do that. It's impressive though. I mean, the ball comes off his bat, really, really hard.
So obviously, this is another guy who hasn't played AA or AAA. What's going to be the biggest adjustment that he has to make in order to play and to produce at the major league level?
Well, I think as a catcher, just controlling his emotions and sticking with the game plan and not getting rattled by the moment. And I think, to be honest with you, like I said before, like no fans is going to help him a little bit. He's not going to have that constant barrage of hearing things or sensing that things aren't going right. Being able to control the environment is going to be the key for him. I think catching honestly does that for you, because you get so locked into a game plan and being able to do that, you tend to kind of get a little bit tunnel vision and ignore all the noise. And so the fact that there is no real noise, I think helps him. So I think it's a softer landing for him. But that's going to be the biggest thing, is just being able to control, when things aren't going well, with the pitcher. How does he control it? How does he control himself, let alone control that pitcher as well? Because you're obviously not alone out there. You have to lead that pitcher. So that's going to be the biggest thing. And just, gaining trust with the pitchers is probably the biggest key for any young catcher. Trevino had to do it. Huff's going to have to do it, and he's going to go out of his way to talk to some of these guys today, and just kind of get to feel like their routine and how they're feeling and how they're using their pitches. So he's going to be a little bit annoying at times, probably, which I want him to be, because he's got to build obviously those relationships with the pitchers.
Obviously, when you guys bring up Sam, is there any conversation about Josh Young possibly being called up in the next couple of weeks before the end of the season?
Yeah, obviously he's doing really well. He's impressing everybody, including myself. Every time I see him, I don't know. I probably not, but I don't know. It's not because he's not putting in the work and doesn't deserve it. I just don't know if we're gonna make that move just yet.
Thank you.
When you talked yesterday about Scott Hyman, was it just the short end of the stick for him to get sent as the alternate side?
Yeah, it was a tough conversation. I love Scotty. I love everything he does. He brings energy. He works his tail off every day. So that's the worst part of my job. But I do think he's going to benefit from it because he's going to get to play. I think he's going to go down and get some at bats, continue to work on what he's been working on, and put it to use in game situations where he hasn't been able to do here. And that's obviously my fault for not getting him in the lineup. But where we are with the guys we have here, he did. He kind of drew the short end of the stick, and it's unfortunate because I feel like he is improving and he's working on a lot of good things. So hopefully he goes down and and gets, like I said, gets his at bats and puts it to use.
And then on the offensive side, you guys are averaging 2 more runs a game against this Angels pitching staff than everybody else in baseball. Is it something with the Angels pitching staff that you guys are seeing?
I don't know. I mean, we've done a good job against them for 5 games, so it's hopefully that trend continues because it's fun to watch. But yeah, I don't know if it's something with the way they pitch or I feel like we're pretty prepared when we go into games, but for some reason we've had a lot of success against them.
Thanks, Woody.
Anything else? John Ryan.
There it is. Hey, Woody, we were talking on postgame last night, too, about that great at-bat that Rugi had, that walk. But it still seems like a somewhat bold move to put him up in that 2 spot in the batting order in just his second game back. What's your thought process there?
I just, I was looking at the lineup and bunching up all the lefties. I know that they used their lefty last night, but I just didn't want to bunch everybody together, towards the bottom. And this guy, I wanted to kind of mix it up with Bundy a little bit. I liked where Rugi's at. I'm just obviously took a flyer on him a little bit, and hopefully he looked good. I felt good about it. I wanted a lefty at the top, and I felt he was the best, I guess, to fit that mold.
Yeah, and he really did, and this probably isn't surprising knowing him, but he really came back, with, it appears, full confidence.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing that Rugi doesn't usually suffer from. I know he's had a rough go at it, this year and last year, but, he believes in himself, and we're just, like I said before, the one thing I've really hammered him on is just that we got to find a way to be consistent every day, and, we'll see.
Thanks, Woody.
Levi.
While we are doing the check-in on alt site, guys, I was curious what you've heard lately about DeMarcus Evans. Has there been any update on him? How's progress?
Yeah, there is significant progress, I think, on a lot of fronts. Emotionally, physically, his stuff is he's been able to kind of be able to figure out his curveball a little bit, be able to land it. I think that was the biggest issue for us was, he's got an elite fastball, but be able to land that curveball, use it obviously ahead and behind in counts was kind of the key. So teams don't eliminate it and just sit on his fastball. But he's been good. He's obviously been really open to a lot of things, and he's been pitching pretty well. So it's one guy I would like to see at some point, and I'm guessing he'll be up here at some point soon. Not quite sure exactly when, but I definitely want to see him.
Thank you.
Anything else? Steven.
Woody, just in general, talking about the alternate site guys, I mean, you've obviously seen a lot of guys that you've had over there. You've seen them come up, you've seen what they've been able to do. How happy have you been with how that's worked, considering all the uncertainty of what we were facing this year with that?
Yeah, it's honestly been amazing. It's the staff down there has been nothing short of phenomenal, honestly. Like, just what we've been able to accomplish, hearing the reports, that the things that they're working on. Like I said, it's not just guys going down there and taking BP and, having an inter-squad game and, that it's not about that. There's so much going on that they're pushing our guys. They're doing the same thing we're doing here, but almost more so because they're not in the environment that we're in. They're not having to go out and, play 9 innings every day. They're getting as much as they possibly can out of that, which, just speaks volumes to the staff and to the commitment of the players, like to buy in. I mean, it's, you hear stories of, Josh Young and these guys, how they're handling their bats, what they're looking for. Our staff is matching them up with their toughest matchup. They're forcing them to face their difficulties. So if they don't hit high spin, they're hitting off the high spin guy. Just forcing and putting them in tough spots to kind of to make sure they break through and kind of learn how to handle those things, because that's what they're going to face here. So it's best case scenario for what they have to deal with. It's not a AA or AAA season, but they're getting a lot out of what they can do down there.
How beneficial though do you think it can be to have all these young standout players that you guys are going to depend on in the future, to have this opportunity to make the most of the situation that I don't know if some other teams are able to kind of manage it like you guys have been able to do it, considering where you guys are going with young players. Yeah, no, I mean,
I think everybody down there realizes I got a shot at this thing, potentially to get called up. So I think it gave a lot of people hope. Obviously we didn't want that situation from the beginning. We wanted to obviously have a better record and maybe not go straight youth movement, but we are where we are. And I'm actually really excited about that, because it shows these guys, hey, this is what the expectations are here. This is what the demands are, at the big league level. And that's what they're doing down there. I mean, they're getting preached this every day, and there's a lot of consistency in how we do things and how they do things, which is critical for the development, especially when we got a young team. So they know exactly, Sam Huff came up and knows exactly what the expectations are here. I think it's me.
Hey, Woody.
What's up, Em?
Kyle, did he just settle in after that first, or was it just the one pitch? What did you see from him?
Yeah, I mean, he definitely settled in, obviously better after the first inning, and even that first inning, it's like 2 outs, nobody on. That's kind of been the tale of the season for Gibby right there. Just not being able to kind of finish some innings and giving up a homer. Unfortunately, obviously Trout, they have a pretty good middle of their lineup clearly, so you can't ever take your foot off the gas. I mean, you got to attack those guys, in the middle especially. And he just made a bad pitch to Walsh, and just like that, it's 3-0 after having 2 outs and nobody on. You got the big double play. So, it's just sometimes it's his lack of execution in certain spots, certain counts. Left some obviously breaking ball up in the zone, or change up in the zone. He's just he's got to find a way to be able to execute those pitches in better locations to give, so he doesn't give up the homer, maybe a double or some hard hit ball, but at least we have a chance to keep it in the yard. But after that, I mean, yeah, he did. He pitched better after that, but that was kind of the damage of the game right there.
Is there anything in particular with him that you guys have identified that he needs to adjust, change, mechanics-wise, approach-wise?
There are a few. I know I talked to Julio. There are a few, mechanical adjustments. I think maybe staying in his legs more, keeping his heel in the rubber instead of, he tends to come up a lot. But I think, it's more of a mentality to just keep attacking. Use his pitches, and like I said, we want him to throw the ball over the plate, and at times this year, he's kind of, nibbled to the edges. It's got him behind in counts, and sometimes those 2-1 counts that he's fallen behind in, those are the times he makes a mistake. So I'd rather kind of have him keep his foot on the gas and just change the mentality more than anything. And there are, like I said, there are some mechanical things that he can help, but I think that'll help a lot. It's just if he thinks attack, especially in the strike zone.
Lineup-wise, Bundy's good. I mean,
yeah.
He seemed to have good stuff today. What was your game plan going in? Do you feel like you executed and you just got the better of it?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we didn't execute like I would like, but at the same time, I got to give him a little credit. He's thrown the ball really well this year. We faced him last year, not the same guy. Clearly, he's pretty dialed in on his stuff. He used, the way he used his fastball kind of up and down, used his changeup in a bunch of counts, wasn't afraid to, flip a curveball in there, over and over again early in counts. He pitched really well. I looked at all the charts during the game, and he executed a lot of pitches. and it makes it tough on us as hitters. But I felt like at times we got exposed a little bit on the changeup. Instead of trying to drive in the ball in the middle of the field, we pulled off of it a little bit. But I do tip my cap because he did pitch really well.
That's it for me. Thank you, Woody.
Other questions, please? Sam?
When you had Mathis up there in the eighth, I think, runner at third, I know obviously pinch hitting it would involve bringing in Huff, it's either to play the next inning or to pinch hit there. Was there any consideration of doing that?
I thought about it. I think, I know Jeff didn't have his best game today, but he's been swinging a pretty good bat. He's seen that guy all day. I thought maybe it was, an opportunity where he could potentially, sit on a slider or get something going there. I didn't really want to put Huff in that situation in his first at bat. I thought about maybe using Elvis, obviously with a limited bench. We have, limited options at that point.
Chris, were you guys expecting more swing and miss or more strikeouts from Kyle this year than you received? Maybe more. Go ahead.
Maybe. I think so. I think I think the one thing about Kyle, he's very open. He's very open to the dialogue with Julio and trying to figure things out. I think we're expecting a lot out of a lot of guys, but yeah, when we signed him, obviously we want him to be, a number 2, number 3 starter, and that's, we are obviously working towards that, and like I said, he's open to a lot of these discussions, so we're trying to get him to understand how to use his stuff the best way possible. But attacking the strike zone is the key, and it's like when he's not doing that, that's why I said it's a mentality thing more than anything. If he does that, his stuff plays, and he does get the strikeouts.
I'm wondering if, because there's a lot of talk about him going more with a high fastball this year. I'm wondering if that didn't develop like you guys had hoped this year.
Yeah, he's used it, but he hasn't been able to execute it. He's not obviously gone more to the two-seamer down, but he's got to be able to execute it. You saw Dylan Bundy, today, he pitches down, but then he goes up with the fastball quite a bit, right at the top of the zone. But you have to be able to execute it over and over again, and that's the thing. I think Gibby started. He didn't do it early in the season, and he kind of shies away from it at times because he hasn't been able to put it where he wants.